We see it all the time, right? The goals, I mean, the trophies, the worldwide recognition. But what's the origin story? What's the real story behind that almost effortless success? That's what we're doing today. We're going deep into the story behind Cristiano Ronaldo and how he took real challenges, pain, isolation, poverty even, and turned them into this, power that we see today. We're going to uncover what made this guy into almost like a real-life superhero.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? And we're not just looking back at, his famous moments, right?
Yeah.
The research we've been doing has turned up some really, really interesting questions about how someone reaches this level of, success and achievement. It makes you think, about what really drives that kind of, exceptional achievement.
For sure. Like, how does a 12-year-old who is considered mute at school actually go on to become a global brand worth more than so many companies? It's wild. And get this, one of the sources says that he won a World Cup after he had a dilcadura. Now, dilcadura can mean a few different things, like a heart issue or even just extreme distress, but even the mention of it next to winning a World Cup is pretty striking, right? And then there's this almost legendary story about his name, like breaking the internet or something, making Google crash. What's behind that kind of global impact?
Yeah, those are some big questions. It definitely points to a journey with, a ton of pressure, tons of obstacles, some you wouldn't even expect. This goes way beyond just what happens on the field.
Right, and that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. It's more than just a sports story. It's a story about someone with crazy determination who makes you rethink what's even possible. So, okay, let's go back to where the sources kind of ground us, September 15th, 2003. Imagine this, the Manchester United locker room. A young Ronaldo, he's 18 at the time, his cell phone's broken. And he gets this news that his dad, who struggled with alcohol for a long time, is dying from liver failure.
Wow. That's incredibly heavy, especially for someone so young, so far from home. Just as his career is taking off, it's hard to even imagine the weight of that.
Totally. And Sir Alex Ferguson, realizing how serious this is, he tells Ronaldo he can skip the game. But what does Ronaldo do? The sources say he wipes away his tears, puts on his jersey, and goes out there. And then that night against Bolton, unbelievable, he scores his first goal for Manchester United.
Man, talk about resilience. He didn't let the grief overwhelm him. He turned it into fuel for his game. It's a level of mental strength that's, pretty remarkable.
And that brings us to this really important takeaway from the research that the world remembers those who go through pain but do it quietly. I mean, we see the wins of success, but not always the struggles behind them. And this moment, like the sources say, was just the start of a long journey filled with that same resilience.
So let's jump ahead to a moment that's, truly legendary in soccer. The 2016 Euro final, Portugal versus France. Can you imagine being in that stadium? The noise must have been unbelievable.
Oh, it had to be insane. You can almost feel the tension just thinking about it. But only 25 minutes and disaster strikes for Portugal. Ronaldo gets injured and has to be carried off the field. What a blow for him and for Portuguese fans everywhere.
You'd think that's it, right? He's out injured, his part in the game is over. But what happens next is something the sources call truly unique, a one-of-a-kind display of leadership.
Exactly. Ronaldo, even though he couldn't play, he was so involved from the sidelines. The sources describe him talking with the coach intensely, almost demanding to be part of it. He even said that a leader doesn't fight from the bench. Think about that. He can't physically play, but his presence becomes this driving force.
Yeah, it really changes how we think about leadership, right? It wasn't about him scoring the winning goal. It was about him giving his team belief and passion. He did it without even saying much. One source said he spoke with his eyes, which is a perfect way to put it.
Totally. And those next 11 minutes, the sources highlight them as the turning point. Even though he wasn't playing Ronaldo's energy, his encouragement seemed to lift the entire team, and the result. Against all odds, Portugal won their very first Euro Cup.
See, that's what it means to be a true leader. It's not just about individual talent or even being on the field. It's about inspiring others to achieve something together.
It goes beyond just overcoming your own challenges, right? True leadership shows up in unexpected ways and inspires everyone to win, even when you're limited yourself.
Now let's talk about something that makes Ronaldo seem almost superhuman in his discipline. The sources talk about this leaked document from 2021 that supposedly lays out his daily routine. And it's intense.
Intense is putting it lightly. The sources really make it sound mysterious, and then they hit you with the schedule. 5:30 a.m., a 20-minute ice bath at negative 200 degrees C. Then at 6:00 a.m., a 3-hour workout focused on his hamstrings. And to top it off at 10:02 p.m., a full hour of watching game footage before even thinking about sleep.
It's no wonder that scientists apparently said this routine would be impossible for most people to handle. The level of commitment is crazy.
And get this, the sources say he did this every single day for 20 years. It's mind-blowing to think about that kind of consistency for so long. So what kind of mindset makes someone push themselves that hard?
Well, the sources give us a hint. When he was 12, Ronaldo made a promise to himself to become the most undisturbed person in the world. It seems like he wanted to be in total control physically and mentally, focused on his goals without anything getting in his way.
And it doesn't stop there. The sources also mention that his kids are being trained under a similar routine. It shows you that he's passing on more than just trophies and awards. He's passing on that same drive and discipline to the next generation.
It really makes you think about the power of setting goals early on and then having the will to chase them for so many years. It's rare to see that level of dedication.
Now, the sources take a bit of a turn. They get more serious and acknowledge that there's always more than one side to the story, especially with someone famous. We're going to look at some of the not-so-great parts of Ronaldo's story, what some call his dark side.
Yeah, it's important to see the whole picture, right? The sources bring up the 2017 tax fraud case in Spain, which ended up with a 19 million euro fine. At the time, a lot of the media used this to paint a picture of the real Ronaldo, a side that wasn't so flattering compared to his image on the field.
It was definitely the big story back then. But then the sources kind of shift and reveal what they call the untold truth. Apparently, Ronaldo paid the fine without any legal battles or arguments. And later it came out that his financial manager had given him bad advice about his taxes.
It shows that even someone at the top of their game can be vulnerable. He was so careful in other areas, but when it came to money, he relied on someone else's expertise, and he owned up to it. One source quotes him saying, "The mistake is mine. I trusted," showing he was willing to take responsibility even when it wasn't entirely his fault.
And the sources use this to show another side of true leadership. It's not just about winning, it's about owning your mistakes even when they happen because you trusted the wrong person. Then the tone changes to something more positive. Now he apparently teaches young players, never blame your team. Your victory belongs to everyone. Defeat is yours alone.
That's a powerful lesson. It means that a real leader takes responsibility for both the good and the bad. It's something that applies to all of us, not just in sports.
So you've heard a lot about Ronaldo in this deep dive. His strength in the face of personal loss, his leadership off the field, his incredible dedication to training, and even his humility in admitting his mistakes. As we wrap up, I want you, the listener, to think about your own challenges.
Those times when it feels like everything's against you, not enough resources, people criticizing you, feeling alone in what you're trying to achieve.
Because remember where Ronaldo started, the streets of Madeira, not a lot of money, and look where he ended up. The biggest stadiums in the world. He built that for himself. The sources remind us that he didn't have fancy coaches or instant fame from social media.
What he had was a dream, a powerful one, and he had the will to make it real. That's what the sources emphasize.
And if this deep dive has sparked something in you even a little bit, then share it. Give it a, maybe even subscribe. You never know, maybe our next deep dive will be about someone just as incredible. Maybe even you. We could explore how your story with the same kind of dedication could leave its own mark on the world.
Here's a question for you to think about, something inspired by Ronaldo's journey, but not directly from the sources. What seems impossible in your life right now? What obstacle, if you faced it with that same level of commitment, could actually become the foundation for your greatest success?